Hey, coming up on today's show, which happens to be the first show of 2022, my good friend Keith is going to lead off with a couple of stories for us. What do we got going on today, Keith?
Well, we got some news from Rivian, and it has to do with their Amazon delivery vans. And looks like there's no stopping Rivian at this point.
Ooh, man, they're on a roll. What kind of roll are they on? Ooh, don't know. Hey, we're going to be talking about some rolls. Got some Toyota, some new Toyota vehicles that they laid out, but most interestingly, how they did that. And there's a nice little nugget of information there that we're going to talk to you about. Ooh, hint, hint, hint.
Sorry, can't help myself. Got a new one.
No problem. And just when you thought that the finger licking good was just not enough for your taste, we're going to be talking about an invention that a Japanese scientist came up with to help you enjoy those finger licking good meals and stuff. What else we got?
There is no stop. This is we're going to start the year with news dominated by Ford. They are all over the news feed. And then just some other details to throw you guys a couple nuggets here. We've got some stock investment news for Camping World, and something that we did to Jay that has to do with tracking him that is now hitting the news feed, and it has to do with Apple's AirTags.
Beware. Yes, beware.
I hate to say I told you so.
I know, it's kind of funny, and we'll get to that. And now, what else we got? We got anything else before we go in?
You know what? Everybody, we got a whole lot more, but you're going to have to stay tuned and check it out.
Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast. Wow, 2022. Is it 2022 also? Oh, I hope not, man. We are so ready to stick a nail in that coffin of 2021. And here we are. How you doing, Keith?
I'm good. He didn't read the whole message.
Oh,
he just
never.
headed right up.
Right up. Yeah. We got a special guest coming on today. And
Side Shot's going to be joining us on the show. I told him to round his stuff up here, and then we'll give him a We'll cue him in.
Again, welcome everybody into the podcast. This first podcast in 2022.
Jay, it's not like rolling into the year, things didn't kind of go a little awry anyway, right?
I know, man. Just when we thought we were getting out of 2021 and we were going to start fresh, we were ready to drive that nail into the coffin of 2021 and put it to rest. But what the heck happens? We get another couple of gut punches, man, and we lost some really iconic individuals within the entertainment industry. And depending on what level of entertainment you like, I would say that everybody out there has a connection to both of these individuals, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so John Madden being first.
Boom.
And honestly, I'm sure I'm not alone in saying this, but I learned most of what I know about football from listening to him.
Oh, from Madden,
like of course coaches in high school taught, but like professional football.
Yeah.
Like most of that was due to his tutelage.
Right. And what's really odd about this, the timing of his death, was that they had just released that John Madden, A Football Life segment, which was really, really good. I've always been a Madden fan. And of course, he set the bar for commentators in that segment of sports.
Well, and not only that, but his famous whiteboard. Well, we didn't call it
No.
whiteboard work back then. It was the Telecaster.
He was an
And he did all
innovator.
his-
He was an
Yeah.
innovator when it came to get you involved in the game and help you understand the game. He was that guy, that innovator, and that was what was cool about John Madden. He was so passionate about the game. He was asked, how he's enjoyed his career over his lifespan and everything. And he said, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've never worked a day in my life. I played the game. I coached the game. I called the game. I, am an advocator and a teacher and instructor of the game. Gosh, man, what a life, huh? Lived a good, long life.
Well, and I think it was a little bit, his passing was a little bit unexpected. And so basically what we have, Jay, is we had, John Madden kind of, shows up in the news feed, and we find out that he passes. And we think, well, that's a horrible end to 2021. And then, boom, we get the news on Betty White, and, she passes. And that was right after, we saw at we went to see Spider-Man over the holidays, and they had this trailer at the beginning of the movie, a preview, if you will, for her 100th birthday celebration, which they're going to carry on with, by the way.
Yeah, I thought another good thing that people are doing, if maybe you don't know this, maybe you do know this, that she was quite the animal. She was an advocate for sheltered animals and adopting animals. She was all about that, and she did a lot of charity work. And they've suggested that on her birthday on January 17, that we all donate, about $5 or whatever you can to your favorite animal shelter or your animal charity that does good for animals that are not lucky to have a home and get the medical treatment and or get spay or neutered as they should to kind of prevent these animals from being out on the road. So Betty White was quite the advocate of that, and she loved animals dearly. So she was a cool lady, man. Really cool lady.
Yeah. The more clips that I've watched, the more and Saturday Night Live, I think, is gonna I think they said Saturday. It was unclear in the news feed if that was the Saturday that I was traveling or if it's this Saturday. But they're gonna re-air from 10 years ago when she hosted, so that'll be cool.
Right. Honestly, I think she stole the show in every on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my wife was a real big fan of Hot in Cleveland, which was
Right.
which was a great show. I watched episodes of it, but obviously growing up in in the 60s and 70s, you couldn't not watch Mary Tyler Moore, and that whole cast of characters in that was a great show too. Anyway, so rest in peace, Betty White. And hopefully, it's really just too bad she didn't make it to 99. Here's what someone did say. They said that, you're loved when you are 99 years old and someone says that you died too soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just crazy, man. God bless her. She was still a beauty too, man. She held up very well for 99 years. I only hope I can get a little further than I am in the shape that I am in. Anyway, she must have been doing something right. So
Yeah.
there you
Or
go.
yeah. Well, vodka was a hobby of hers, I hear.
Oh,
all right.
really?
So I've got a piece of Rivian news,
Oh, really?
and it seems like, especially the last quarter of 21, we had Rivian news definitely weekly, if not daily.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a little bit different, but I wanna kind of draw everybody's attention to this just because A, I think it's cool, and B, I think that change is in the air. So
Big time.
a service that nobody's ever heard of, Jay, in the name of Amazon.com,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
nobody.
I'll say this, yes, absolutely. And if you don't know that, then you didn't buy anyone anything for Christmas.
Right.
Right.
Right. So we knew that Amazon had invested in Rivian. We knew that there was a plan. They unveiled that several Super Bowls ago on the new electric delivery vans.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually stumbled across this on Amazon's press site.
Right.
And what's interesting to me is they're telling the world that those are now going into production. So just to quote Amazon here, in 2019, they ordered 100,000 custom electric delivery vehicles from Rivian.
Right.
They rolled out the first ones in Los Angeles in February of 21. Those are the ones that we talked about on this program. And if you're not sure what we're talking about, make sure you hit the subscribe button over on the YouTube side, ring the bell. You can find our podcast at partscounterguru.com, and you can go back and listen to those archives.
Yes. There's one about an annoying sound that they plugged into this thing,
Yep,
so you would hear it. That was a good one.
That's right. That was one of these being tested. But the test market is now kind of coming to a wrap. They're rolling these out into production form.
Right.
They're going to have 10,000 of them on the road, and Amazon says as early as 2022. So during this year, expect
I would say
roughly 10,000 of these to hit the road. That's why they're in production right now.
And obviously they'll be closely monitored in specific test markets. They've tested them, but instead of going like all out and pushing the whole thing out, they're growing at a pace that allows them to correct any issues, and you will run into them. At least they have the foresight to know that. And their planning looks to be very strategic in getting all this stuff rolled out.
I'm going to be fascinated to see how they handle the recharge with that many fleet vehicles needing to be recharged. But I'm sure they have that worked out. That is going to be interesting, though, to watch.
Yeah, it will be. And I did read a little bit about that. Where was that? It said how many they were going to be charging overnight. They were going to be able to park and charge overnight at their facilities. So as part of the Climate Pledge, which, by the way, in Seattle, if you're a hockey fan, this is, Amazon's here. There's a lot of big players in the tech world are here. We have what used to be called Key Arena is now the Climate Pledge Arena, which is where the Seattle Kraken now play. And we hope that we get to expand back into the NBA and we get the Seattle Supersonics back, but we'll see. Anyway, Climate Pledge is a big deal. The pledge calls on signatories to become net zero carbon across their businesses by 2040. And that would be a decade ahead of the Paris Accords goal of 2050. This is what Amazon says. They spent 18 months evaluating a variety of electric vehicle options to reduce its carbon footprint. To move quickly, the team realized the best way forward was to chart their own path and create new custom electric vehicles. That is where Rivian came in. And then, of course, like you said, the ball rolled from there. So what else on that front do you have? I mean, about the charging?
Man, I don't, but I will say this, everybody, in closing. Just make sure you're subscribed to this channel over on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, it's youtube.com/partscountergurus. Hit the subscribe button, turn it from red to gray, as Sideshot would say. Make sure you ring the bell and you'll get notifications. And that way, as soon as we get information, you'll have it. And our track record, by the way, I mean, not to pat myself or Jay on the back over there, but, we're putting this news out a lot of times months before the major news feeds or YouTubers carry it. As an example, the Ford Illuminator motor we got to way early. We got to this way early. That getting to early thing doesn't stop here with us. So just make sure you're tuned in, everybody.
By the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/partscountergurus. And you can check out the most popular video of 2021, which was the Ford Illuminator. We got a lot of views on that thing.
Yeah.
Is that... I am and I'm not surprised.
I hate to say I told you so.
Yeah, well, what I am surprised about is the fact that the Performance Racing Industry Show this year in Indianapolis, which we covered and attended, you can check out those videos there and our live podcast from that, how they embraced the electrification of performance vehicles. So way to go, Ford and GM and everybody involved in this whole new segment of auto industry. Way to go. It's changing. It's here, so be ready. And we can bring you all the information up front. So there you go. So what are we going to get into next? Huh?
Well, speaking of Ford and bringing, I'm bringing some reinforcements in here.
Oh my goodness!
Everybody knows Sideshot.
Backed by popular demand.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend, Sideshot.
This is going to be tight quarters, but we'll squeeze him in. You want to scoot up a little bit? Can you?
Well, I was thinking scoot back. So
Or
we could
I was
sit
thinking
in.
scoot up so that you can be heard on the microphone.
Okay.
You know,
How are you supposed to get
It'll-
yourself in?
this is
Dad will fix it in post.
there
like
is
I always
nothing
do.
better than live parenting. Yeah.
All right.
Get a
So-
glimpse into Keith's world here. Yes.
Right.
All right. So, I got a question for Sideshot. Do you think that the Ford F-150 Lightning is perhaps one of the most exciting electric vehicles to come to the market?
I do. I think it's a very good concept, and it's kind of taking. It's almost like what Rivian is doing, and the Cybertruck, which is also not really a truck, but it's trying to be the first electric truck, which could change a lot of things about trucks.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. I remember when we were at PRI, we're not PRI, we were at SEMA, and we got our eyes firsthand on a new F-150 Lightning EV. You were pretty excited about it because we were covering that live. You were watching our stream, which was pretty neat. You pointed this out, and I got to give credit where credit is due because Sideshot is the one that brought this to, in my opinion, a light for people to kind of understand what Ford's thought process was behind this, which was if you're going to put a Ford pickup truck out, you got to make it look like a Ford pickup truck. And that's what they did.
He and I talked about this, and and you guys have similarly with the Lexus, with the new, was it the GX? When the GX came out, and I said, well, it looks just like the old one. And you, Jay, and you, Sideshot, said, well, that's on purpose. And Ford's doing the same thing here. Personally, I would have been okay with it to be noticeably different than the F-150 lineup, the traditional. Mm-hmm. But it seems like you guys are in agreement, and I think a lot of other people are thinking, no, Ford's strategy is it needs to look and feel like an F-150 so that we don't scare people off.
Unlike the Mustang Mach-E, which is a completely different animal. Yes, there were traits of the original Ford Mustang, but what Ford was trying to do was not give you want you to believe that it was an all-electric, actual, true Mustang sports car, because that's not what it was meant to be. Whereas the Ford F-150 is an F-150, and if you're going to name it an F-150, it better have at least 80 to 90% of the capabilities of the original Ford F-150. And by all accounts, it looks like they have achieved that and some. And we've got some news on that front today. Can you cue Bert on this one, please?
I hate to say I told you so.
Okay, so for anyone out there saying that it'll never work, it's never going to happen, okay, two things that Ford has sold out recently of, and that is the Ford Illuminator $3,900 crate motor that everybody hates, apparently, and that's why they're sold out. They sold them, they bought them all so they could just go throw them away, I guess. I don't know, so they can get rid of them. Then you've got the Ford F-150 Lightning EV, which is now what? Sold out for 2022? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Right.
To the point to where they had to stop taking reservations because they have met and or exceeded their capabilities to be able to deliver and produce.
Yeah, so, and then you have on top of that the dealerships taking advantage, or attempting, some dealerships, I need to be fair here, trying to take advantage of that situation. Now, this is a warning to me. So you have the Rivian model. Okay, so if we're going to get into the EV game, if we're going to get into the EV market, there are some established protocols. Tesla kind of started that whole thing on a big scale. Rivian was next. Ford's now entering the market. And the difference in those three is that Ford is a traditional dealership model. The other two are not.
Correct.
And so you have situations where some of these dealers are attempting to gouge, I guess, for lack of a better term, this short supply that Jay you just referenced in availability of these F-150s, right?
Right.
And we found this on Electrek, but Electrek.
Electrek,
but it's out there widely. They had 200,000 reservations.
Yeah. It's
They're going to
200,000.
try to crank 15,000 of them out this year in 2022.
Right.
55,000 in 23. So here's the danger that I see. If you're going to try to gouge people based on supply and demand, and you burn those consumers, they're not going to buy your brand anymore. So if Rivian's not doing it, and Tesla's not doing it, and some of these other direct-to-consumer manufacturers, they're going to risk Ford's going to step in at some point and go, okay, dealers, knock it off or we're cutting you out. And that turns the whole dealer model on its head.
It does. The other side of that too is the low dollar amount that it takes to reserve one of these things. Is that something that bites them, or should they have increased that to get more of a commitment? Because can't you cancel at any time on this reservation, lose your $100 or whatever? Or do you get a full refund?
In some cases, it's refundable. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really no risk. But they have a reason for that, and GM did it too. I don't know what that reason is. What was the Cybertruck? $200? $1,000?
I
think it was $1,000.
Okay.
I think it was $1,000. Yeah.
But it was refundable.
Yeah.
So, to add on to that, Jay, this tweet from Jim Farley that you found. Now, by the way, folks, we are on Twitter at The Counter Show. If you're picking us up on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you get notified when we have more news about this. But Jay, what's going on with the latest news on the F-150?
Well, so for reservation holders and/or for those who wish they were reservation holders, Jim Farley announced actually today, this is hot off the press, that the configurator for the highly anticipated F-150 is finally live. You got 4 trims: the Pro, the XLT, the Lariat, and the Platinum. And the Pro starts at just $39,974 before any incentives, which I did some looking up. I think you can get up to $7,500 off from the federal government for purchasing an all-electric vehicle, depending on where you live. I checked it out. My zip code, I do qualify for the maximum of $7,500 incentive, but the minimum in most states is around $2,500. They have 8 colors available that are at no additional cost, from my understanding. They have a 9th color, which is called Rapid Red, that will be available at additional cost of $495. And I started configuring one, and I got up, and I found some interesting things too. And if you want to, Keith, do you want to bring up a configure and start?
Well,
let's walk through this. I
was going to offer this. You guys, let us know in the comments if you are interested in seeing us build one of these on a video. And we've done this before. We did it with Rivian.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do it.
This one says he'll do it. I think we have a willing volunteer. We're happy to go through the build process and do a dedicated video for that. Let us know if you'd be interested in seeing that in the comments, and we might take a shot at it.
Yeah, and so just in a nutshell, some of the things that I did discover, you could get up to over $100,000 on the Platinum Series, easy. The Pro, you cannot purchase the extra range. You only get the single range battery pack, but the XLT and the Lariat, as an option, you can get the extended range battery. Comes at an additional cost of around $10,000, which is a question that kept reoccurring, or not necessarily a question, but a comment that kept reoccurring about the cost of the batteries and all of this stuff, that you were going to be spending $30,000-$40,000 on batteries, which is just not the case. We still have another video that we need to get out where a Corvette was converted to an electric vehicle And the guy didn't have anywhere near close to that invested into that thing. But so the Lariat and the XLT, you can purchase it, but the Platinum series automatically comes with that range, and it's well over 300 miles, close to 400 miles in range. So which is pretty significant for a truck like this.
What is the range difference between those if you're going to pay that much extra money?
Right. So let's go check that out. Let's see, battery range.
230.
There you go.
230, and that's on the Pro model.
And what's the excited?
Well, these would be good questions for a dedicated video segment where we dig into that a little bit more specifically.
Yeah, so there you go, 230. And then it gives you a little bit more information about, you're going to get increased, obviously, torque and horsepower with the extra motors. 300-mile range, I think, is what it is. That's pretty interesting. For $10,000 more, is that worth it for you? We'll talk about that in another segment. I think for some it would be, especially. And here's what's interesting: the Pro model, which they say is specifically designed for, to target construction workers, sites, and stuff like that, fleets. You can't get the extra battery range. I would think that would be something that they would want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, what's the logic there, right? Like, is it to, control, the fewer options you offer typically means you can shave cost, because
right?
They're all getting very, it's kind of a wholesale deal.
So if you look at the Pro MSRP at $39,974, and then if you look at the XLT, it's $52,974. I think they're trying to get you into that XLT, is what they are. And the XLTs and Lariats are used heavily in the construction world. I know that to be a fact. But I would think that if you get, just a standard base Pro model, that they should offer that as well. But that's I'm sure that Ford's heard that already,
Well, and again, as this information comes available, just make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell, and we'll give you updates on some of this availability. Sometimes we get to it before anybody else out there in YouTube land. So
you got it.
There you go.
You got it. All right. Wow, man! Just the hits just keep on coming, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
where do you want to go
next?
next?
Well, I think that we need to talk about something that Toyota did recently.
Okay.
You brought this up to me, and then I did a little research on it, and I thought it was very funny. Go
ahead, Jay.
Well, it seems that Toyota had a recent huge EV concept reveal.
Was it like 30 different vehicles?
That were all supposed to go into production.
Yeah,
and
they just did it all at once. Like,
yeah,
here they are, everybody.
Yeah, they unveiled 15 new EV concept. Says the Lexus will be electric only, by the way. And they range in various sizes. Obviously, they're on the BZ platform, which is Beyond Zero platform.
Which I guess,
I hate to say I told you so.
Again, if you're subscribed to our program, and if you're not, hit the subscribe button, change it from red to gray.
So you mean to tell me there's such thing as an electric car out there?
Well, we talked about this BZ platform months back.
Yes, we
Not
did.
Not just their electrification, but specifically where Toyota was going.
And we were sitting back going, hey, man, where is Toyota at? Where are they at in this whole electrification? And then all of a sudden, boom, they blindside us with that. We knew they were up to something. But what's really interesting about during this reveal, and I'm going to let Keith talk about this because he was cracking up talking to me about it when we were on the phone. And so during this whole thing, Keith, as they were you suspecting anything at all?
No. I mean, so again, like 30 vehicles, right? So you've got their CEO basically taking you around the various vehicles. But you're not going to spend the time that you would spend, let's say, when Ford unveiled the F-150 Lightning, where they had like a dedicated 20-minute, or the Mach-E, or Nissan doing their Proto Z, or Elon doing the Cybertruck. None of those. Those were dedicated events for that vehicle. Toyota's just basically throwing out, like, here they all are, right? And we're going to spend just a few minutes on each one. And I think the fact that this was this isn't one of those, like, where a Disney cast member stuck in a little figurine as you go into the ride, right?
Right, exactly.
This is like the company was all in on it, and
Yes.
they thought it would be hilarious. Some 10 years after it was a thing. Do you know what Rickrolling is? What does that
Don't
look
you
mean? Huh? Yes? I'll take a yes or a no.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what Rickrolling is. Did you know that Toyota, during that event that we're talking about, put a QR code on one of these small little transport vehicles? Jay, do you happen to know what those were called? They were little...
Yes. These are their vans.
Micro
Micropod or something like that. Yeah.
Microbox and midbox.
There you go. There you go. Microbox. Yes, that's it.
So on the front, see where it is right there. There's a little QR code that if you scan that QR code, it brings you to the Rick Astley video.
No.
Yeah, they Rickrolled everybody.
You get Rickrolled.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously.
So we're gonna put it. We'll put.
Notice that.
We should put a link to the mentioned on the podcast to this particular article, so you can just scan it yourself. I did it. It works. They had to Photoshop it just a little bit just to get the angle right, so your phone could pick it up from the image.
Yeah.
But it does work. I was impressed with that. They Rickrolled. Yeah, exactly. They Rickrolled the world, man. And, why not have a sense of humor? I think that's hilarious. I think it's totally hilarious. It's great marketing. But for us, as automotive industry guys, we've been to many car shows, the QR code is nothing new to us. We're always walking around scanning the information about the vehicle, the concept that might be out there on the placard that might be in front. And that's specifically what they did here. I think they were trying to capture that, and then you do this, and next thing you know, you get Rickrolled.
All right, everybody. So, look, we don't use QR codes, but we do have a little... it's actually our logo on the YouTube channel. If you click that, it'll take you to a little subscribe button, and you can make sure that you don't get Rickrolled in the future by subscribing to our channel. So,
right.
Please and thank you. Ring the bell. You'll get notifications. What is it that you always say? Change it.
Oh, change the subscribe button from red to gray.
There you go. That's how you
Yeah, we need your help, folks. We love it. And thank you to all of those who have subscribed. We're continuing to grow exponentially. Thanks to...
I don't have to take these off.
Thanks to the popularity of the Rickroll. Here we are. So, wow. So ricking a roll, and moving on. Sideshot and Keith had a little experiment that they were trying to roll me on when they were visiting back in the summer here. And again, go to youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus, and you can check that video out. I think we released it in either mid-August or early September of 2021. And it is a segment that we did on something that Apple had released during that time, and Keith picked up some, and they wanted to try these little things out. So there you go, Keith. I've set the stage for you to talk about this particular situation.
So everybody, first of all, we're going to give you some background to this, but the easiest way for you to find all of this is to make sure you're subscribed to our channel, ring the bell. Over on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus, and you can find the video that we're about to tell you about. But so Apple introduced these AirTags midsummer. Was it this last summer, 21? Okay.
I think so.
Or springish.
Oh, it was during their big event in the spring.
Okay. So they're about the size of a quarter. They're thicker than a quarter. They're object trackers. They're device trackers. And
right.
I gave a bunch of them out as Christmas gifts this holiday. And they're pretty cool. Like, I've used the Tile stuff, still use the Tile stuff. I've used some of the other brands. The cool thing about the Apple, there's two things. Number one, the batteries in them are replaceable. It's a coin cell battery. And number two, the entire iPhone user network. So everybody that basically has an iPhone, when you report your object lost or stolen, everyone helps you in the search and recovery of that. Everyone with an iPhone becomes a search party for you in your recovery.
So when you walk past it, the AirTag pings that person's phone and lets you know where the AirTag is.
So let's say, for example, I had one hidden on my bicycle, which I'm about to do, and somebody steals my e-bike. If I report it stolen in the Find My app, then it will attempt to track it for me in real time using everyone else's iPhone as a like side shot. Oops, just said. I'll get that in post. It's pinging, right? So here's where this gets interesting. So we did a video on that. We put it in Jay's car. Jay didn't know it. I hid it in some merch gear.
Right.
And you got a notification, did you not? That
I did. I got a notification. Yes, I did. Which will only occur on an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, it'll only occur on an iPhone. If you have a Samsung Galaxy or whatever, if you're using these things or their versions of them, it doesn't do that. From my understanding, which is and that's where we're going to go with this story here. So so think about this for a second. If you hide one of these AirTags on a vehicle, now they make little cases for them, they make key fobs for them, they make things you can attach them to bicycles. There's all kinds of aftermarket stuff that you can use to attach these, or you just use some two-sided adhesive tape and it'll do the same thing. But people are putting these on cars. So let's say, for example, that I was a creepy person and wanted to track Jay, and I didn't know Jay, or Jay didn't know that I was going to track him, or I didn't know where Jay lived, or something to that effect, or I didn't know where Jay worked, or I didn't know where Jay hung out.
Okay, we get it.
You get it? Okay. Just making sure. All right, so y'all get it. So I hide one of these AirTags on Jay's car, and now I have his entire,
where I
can
went.
see where he's going in almost real time.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting.
I mean, we did it on an airplane, everybody, and it worked to a pretty good extent, so it's going to work on the ground.
Right. And as with anything, criminals going to be criminals, and they're going to use technology in a way that you would hope they wouldn't, but unfortunately, there's always somebody out there trying to to do evil things or just kind of, steal from you, be a thief. So
yeah, so real world example, this comes via Jalopnik, which, it comes from Jalopnik via Fox 2 Detroit. A gentleman by the name of John Nelson had a Dodge Charger. He had it for 2 days. 2 days.
Right.
And basically went into a shopping center, found out later that day that he had an AirTag somewhere in his car.
Yeah, it came up, there was a notification came up on his phone that he was being tracked, and so he went looking for it and he found it, and which is, one of these vehicles, by the way, this is a Dodge Charger Scat Pack. It's sought after. It's like certain types of Hondas were sought after, like Civic SIs, and there's some certain types of Nissans that are niche type vehicles that people really want, and this is one of those. So beware if you own one of those vehicles and you happen to have an iPhone and you get a notification while you're sitting in your car or you're around your car, you might be looking and digging around for a little AirTag.
So Jay, this is where I think we're going to have to go with this. So you remember in the 80s when we had the protected by Viper, please step away from the vehicle.
Yes.
Remember that?
I do remember that.
So I say, because I think you're onto something here. This is something that we reported on a while back.
I hate to say I told you so.
People were climbing under vehicles and stealing things like
I hate to say I told you so.
catalytic converters, you name it, right? Off of vehicles while they're parked. So let's bring I don't even know if Viper's still around. Let's bring him back. Let's put maybe a low level. Let's put a capacitor somewhere in the vehicle. Doesn't have to take up a lot of space. Could maybe be this big, and cars are metal. You know where I'm going with this, right?
I do, yes.
Put a stun gun type feature in this Viper security system. Electrify the metal parts of the car. when you detect somebody approaching the car that isn't the owner or that should be in the car, they
Right.
get a little zappy zap if they make contact with the car, right?
Yes, absolutely, man. That would be like a bug zapper zap. Like a,
Yeah.
it'd be fun. It'd be funny.
Not a lethal amount, just to be clear here. Just enough to make you never want to go back and touch that thing again.
Right,
I'd
right.
be okay with that.
Yeah, I would too, man. But just know that people are using these things for not so good reasons. And I mean, it's a great technology. Don't you agree? As
Yeah.
again,
super handy.
There's always somebody out there trying to do things they shouldn't be doing with technology, and unfortunately, it ruins it for the rest of us. So, fortunately, from what we understand, that the moral of this story is if you get a notification on your phone that says that you're being tracked by a device that you don't own, you might start looking around. Look over your shoulder. So that's my suggestion. There you go.
All right, I'm going to give you a choice here, Jay.
Okay.
Dealer's choice.
Okay.
Camping World or television?
I really like the television thing.
All right,
myself.
let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait. You're going to love this.
Oh, do you know about this one?
No,
You
I
know
don't
about
think
it?
he knows about this one.
Okay, so we joke about it. We have joked about it, in the past many times, like smell-o-vision. Like you're watching a movie, and things are blowing up on the screen or whatever. Wouldn't it be cool to have that sensory effect of a smell? And they did. I mean, in certain theaters they would pump in odors and stuff to kind of simulate the real feel of it. And in fact, one of my favorite shows from way back when was the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where you could actually come in and dressed in garb and all of this stuff and act out on stage, throw rice, through some of these scenes and stuff to get that real feel of the movie. Well, there's apparently a Japanese professor that has created a television screen where you can physically taste what's on the screen.
Would
It's
you be
called-
willing to lick a TV screen?
It's called Tasty TV. Actually, it's
Wow,
the device is called Taste the TV. It's the
how original.
TTTV.
Yeah, TTTV.
TTTV. He's a Japanese professor. It's a prototype lickable TV screen that can imitate food flavors, which is another step, he says, to a multi-sensory viewing experience. It uses a carousel of 10 flavor canisters that spray in combination to create the taste of a particular food. The flavor sample then rolls on hygienic film over a flat TV screen for the viewer to try. Now, that was the important feature to this, because when I first saw the story, I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be a way to keep this clean. So there's apparently some sort of film that replaces it, considering COVID-19, and all the other nastiness that goes on out there. They had to think about that, and they did. Now, COVID-19 affected this in a couple of ways, obviously to keep the screen clean. But this type of technology, says the professor, can enhance the way people connect and interact with the outside world due to COVID-19. You may not be able to travel to, say, Indonesia to try a specific type of food down there, but you want to, and you want that real feel, that real flavor. This guy can give you the ability to bring that up.
Well, and think about it like this, everybody. So, when you read these news articles, and I'm guilty of this too. My first response is, oh man, well, I'm never going to do that. Well, but hold on a second, because this is just stage one of a technology that's going to evolve. So while we may not want to be licking screens or films over screens,
Right.
you use this technology and adopt it into something else. I mean, Scratch and Sniff, right? Scratch and Sniff came out and it was on stickers, right? And just, it was cool, but kind of not really useful until they started putting it on liquor bottles.
Right.
And then I got the peppermint vodka Scratch and Sniff bottle, right? Which he laughs because he knows.
That's pretty funny, man. I mean, it works, right? It's great marketing,
And so I would encourage you all to keep an open mind that this is probably not going to end with this particular television setup.
Right. But not only that, you bring up a very valid point from a marketing standpoint. Like you get these magazines, and inside you've got these like like say cologne or perfume cards that you open up and you scratch and sniff it. You get the smell of the perfume, the actual fragrance. Can you imagine that in a magazine, like an advertisement for, say, a restaurant in New York City, and you're flying across country to New York City, and you have a magazine, you open it up, and it's sealed. Obviously, you'd have to seal it, but you open it up, and it's like their version of some souffle or whatever, and you open it, and you can actually taste it before you go.
You just gave me an idea, Jay.
I did.
So
we do that a lot, don't we?
Yeah. So I got it. Okay. And again, this is going to be one of those things, just like earlier in the show, where, I had the idea. I'm never going to have time to, see it to fruition. So I'm just putting it out there to the internet. Somebody will pick this up and run with it. I mentioned earlier in the program, by the way, partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast tab and you can subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, and vice versa, if you're listening to the podcast, go over to the YouTube side, youtube.com/partscountergurus, and make sure you click the subscribe link, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. All those are great.
Wow, you've been working hard, man.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos with this guy over the holidays.
Side shot, have you been training him on this?
Through what's it called, like when you just absorb the information without actively participating?
Telepathically?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that what? Oh, anyway.
Osmosis.
Osmosis. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, we went to see a movie over the holidays. Went to see Spider-Man. The theaters are doing this thing now. This is in the middle of Omicron and all that, right? And spread, and I've got people that are close to us that are dying from, there's still some risk out there. And the movie theater would not allow me to book seats, because you can book your seats like an airplane now. Mm-hmm. But they won't let you leave a gap in between you. And so if there's 2 seats booked here and I want to leave a seat open and then book three seats for us, it won't let me.
Oh.
It will not let you skip a seat.
Interesting.
And so I'm thinking, man, first of all, I'm kind of done with theaters for a while. I mean, this is something we talked about with Marlon, and you and I have talked about, and we kind of said, hey, Apple needs to figure this out. The theater business has been in trouble for a while. Big blockbuster movies, tentpole movies have been delayed. On and on and on, right? And so we're kind of seeing an opportunity here for somebody to do the home experience where you don't have to deal with like a bunch of gross stuff on your, under your feet or whatever.
Right.
But here's my idea, Jay. How about a stink bug flavored or scented, like scratch and sniff or magazine or one of these things? Let's just say you're on a bus or an airplane or in a movie theater, that magazine that you were just talking about, and you just want everybody to kind of take a few steps in the opposite direction of you, right?
Right.
Just pull that thing open, give it a little scratch.
Oof.
Let it waft. Right?
Wafted.
You're good, right?
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Right?
Yes, I agree. That's awesome. Well, hey, chemical guys could jump on board with something like this.
Stink bug scented.
Bug
and tar remover.
Bug and tar remover. There you go, man. To give you that real feel, it's limitless, man, to what you can do. So, this professor Miyashita, he works with about 30 students that have produced a variety of flavor related devices that includes a fork that makes food taste richer. He says these potential applications, by the way, include distance learning for cooks and tasting games and quizzes, et cetera, et cetera. This is what alarmed me, how low of a cost this is, actually. I was like, whoa, but that's how far technology has come, I think, that they can do this. But he says the prototype that he's built over the past year, he's thinking that a commercial version of that would cost about 100,000 yen, which equates to about $875 to make.
For a lickable television.
For a lickable television.
Now, I do feel like he's missing out a little bit. The TTTV thing. I just feel like he fell short creatively. I've often promoted, in fact, let let the folks at Temperate Habits know that if they need someone to name their beers, again,
Yes.
just put in a. Would you put in a good word for me?
Dr. Katie coming your way. Yes, absolutely.
Just in case, like I just feel like there needs to be a profession that this is your job, and I don't think it would stop with beer naming. I feel like I could extend my talents into technology. For example, and this has got a little bit of a 1950s, 1960s industrialist vibe to it. I would have gone with the Lick-O-Matic.
There you go, man.
I mean, I just feel like these people are falling short in the potential of the naming of their devices. But
I think so. I mean, with the onset of technology like it is now, everything automated, households, you've got Instapots, you've got microwaves, you've got these air fryers, et cetera, et cetera. Things are moving faster and faster, except for apparently myself, who someone plainly pointed out in a video that the old guy needs to move a little faster.
Well, that guy hasn't figured out that you can speed YouTube videos up. So
anyway,
we'll put that on the next. I'm dying to put that one on the next mailbag segment.
Yeah, we're going to call him out too. So, but yeah, would you? Would this be something you'd try?
The Lick-O-Matic? You'd try to talk me into buying it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I bet you they come out with mini versions of it instead of full size.
And then the
TV
next thing you know,
screens, it'll
Jay,
be-
you got the dog licking the television nonstop. I mean,
It'll be actually, if Apple were smart, they'd jump on this technology and they would develop it for restaurants as a marketing tool, and
Yeah.
they call it the iLick or iTaste.
there you go.
So, have fun with that, Apple. You can thank us.
All right.
Can I get water?
Yeah, go for it. Don't forget to take your headset off. Your cans, as they say. All right.
All right.
Well, do we wait on the Honda news until he gets back with his water and maybe jump into that other one? I think
Let's jump into the other one. We do. Yes, absolutely, we do.
Okay. So I found this out because I've been dabbling a little bit recently in automotive stock. I certainly haven't been buying. Lordstown stock.
No, but if you're smart, you'd potentially buy some of that Rivian. Ford bought some Rivian stock, and boy, did that help them out.
Sideshot bought some on his own. I bought some. I mean, I have a custodian account, and he bought some Rivian stock. I bought some on my own, and anyway, so a topic that comes up on this program quite a bit. In we do a lot of RV stuff, and I have such a love-hate relationship with Camping World, and the CEO of Camping World, Marcus Lemonis, has been in and out of the news. He's got that show on, I think it's NBC, The Prophet. He's received some negative press recently. I always have questioned Camping World's inability to turn a profit, meaning that they're always in the red.
Right.
And yet, every time I walk into one, they couldn't be busier, especially in their service department. And they seem to be selling the heck out of these RVs as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I will tell you this, that Marcus Lemonis, the aforementioned CEO of Camping World, chairman and CEO,
right,
recently bought about $100,000 worth of Camping World stock. Now, that's not a huge amount for him, but he knows something that we don't. I think that's the reading in between the lines that I have done. That could it be some of this EV technology that they've been partnering in? Who knows? But there's something that he thinks is worth buying Camping World stock for today, so that he can realize a gain in the near future. Now, it may be 6 months, but it's probably not going to be 6 years.
Right. True. And I have another idea on this, and I could be completely
wrong.
wrong.
Side shot's back.
Oh, look at there. And, as low as the stock cost was, the share costs were, really not that big of a chunk of money for him.
No. Right.
But it draws interest to the fact that he did buy this, right?
Yeah.
And eyebrows pop up and go, should I be buying this? Let me buy a little bit of this as well. Do you think maybe that this is his way of driving up his shares just by kind of maybe making people think that there's something going on. There's not really.
I
but,
see. So it's a little bit of a poker bluff here.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a whole lot to lose here, but he's got a lot to gain by purchasing these at such a low cost.
That's another point. So he knows and expects that things will probably stay the same at the very least.
Right.
In the next short-term future, right?
Because he knows the market trend right now, what's going on.
Yep.
You said it in the beginning of this segment, which is how surprised you are with some of the shenanigans that go on, as busy as they are, is the fact that they're backlogged on getting orders out for some of these RVs. They can't even, they can't fulfill orders. That's not it. It's a good position to be in. It's a bad position to be in. But maybe there's some stuff going on to where they need a little bit more investment bump, and maybe he's doing this to kind of help. Hey, come along for the ride here, and in his way of doing it. I don't know. There's nothing official on it.
Well,
so.
the bottom line is that decision did not happen in a vacuum. So he didn't just wake up one day and go, "Why are you kicking me?"
I'm not kicking you.
Oh, sorry. No, he didn't just wake up one day and go, I think I'm going to buy some more shares of stock of my company.
Right.
Like he had there's a motivating factor that he has some knowledge of. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission monitors that, so you had to be careful, right?
There's some strategery going on here.
Yes, for sure.
So, did I hear you talking about EVs and Camping World?
Yeah.
Yes.
For me,
absolutely.
You know what I would say? The ideal RV would probably be something like the Tesla Semi as a camper.
Yeah, so there is some, and again, everybody, we've covered this. I don't want to say ad nauseum because we're probably not done covering it, but we've gotten into the whole EV movement in the RV industry quite a bit. There's a lot of development going on right now. There are EVs out there that are going to be able to take advantage of their RV's ability to send a charge back to them. KOA's gotten into the game. They're going to offer charging stations, which, again,
I hate to say I told you so.
it's just a prime opportunity sitting there waiting with, 240 service at the pole. So, we're not done. So, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming months and years, right?
Absolutely, man. So let's, do I run out and buy Camping World shares right now? I personally don't think so. I think I'm going for the Rivian stock. That's just me.
Did you need to put a bow on that with that zip up right at the end just to?
I did. It's my way. Way.
That's about now. All you need is just your cowboy hat, and you just get up and walk off. Yeah. All right.
Oh man, right on. Okay, so moving on. This is something that you brought up to me again. You're on a roll lately. You must be watching a lot of YouTube stuff lately or something. Side shot. Yeah.
He said on a roll. He said on a roll.
Right on. So Honda. Let's talk a little bit about Honda. We don't talk about Honda a lot, but what has Honda recently come to the table with, which happens to be maybe a concept vehicle that borrows from somebody else? What could this be?
I gotta ask this. Did you know about this, Side Shot?
I did not.
Okay. So gotcha.
Couple of firsts.
See,
couple of firsts here today.
First of all,
first pod.
Are you subscribed to our channel?
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't know about it, you will by the time the segment's done. See what I just did there? Created a loop.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, you are on a roll, sir.
Yeah, right. Oh, he's trying to keep my hands off the keyboard. All right. So go ahead, Jay.
All right. So Honda, again, they're another automaker that kind of was keeping things close to the vest. But they recently revealed some of their in-concept vehicles, which the automaker will use as a foundation for its China-exclusive EVs. This is kind of funny because they are doing something that we know that the Chinese have done for decades, which is making knockoffs, right? So apparently Honda revealed a truck or SUV-like type vehicle that looks similar to the Cybertruck, and I mean all the way from, the angles on it, the front end on it, it just doesn't have a bed. It's just an
really
SUV.
abrupt angles.
Yes.
Color-wise, they're using a similar color to the aluminum Cybertruck look.
The wheels, even.
Now let's back up for a second here. Honda is calling this, and I got to have some fun with this. It's lowercase e colon capital N. This is their E colon N. What?
Right.
What are we?
Right.
What marketing? Okay, I don't even.
Well, it's like Toyota with their e-Tenga platform. Everybody's going for the E now. It's like the I with the iPhone. It's all I's, and now it's all E's. So here we go. So it's the E colon.
I'm so distracted by the use of grammar and punctuation in this concept line that I could turn it into a podcast segment. All right, so yes.
So
go ahead.
This thing is interesting because it doesn't have side view mirrors or door handles, and the windshield is
just
massive.
Like the side. Now,
I mean, how could you look at this and be like, "Oh, I have no idea what that looks similar to"?
right, but to be fair, like that's a concept thing that will never hold up IRL. You know what that means, right? All right, in real life, for those of you that don't, because especially here in the United States, the Highway Transportation Safety Board is not going to let you get away with no side view mirrors on the car. Remember the Lamborghini Urus that when they were almost to production and they did not put those side mirrors on the outside of the vehicle, but they used cameras. They put a little tiny camera out there, and then they basically had a video display of what that camera saw on the inside. So it was smooth on the outside,
right?
And the mirror essentially was replaced by a video screen just inside the window. That couldn't even get off the ground. Like the U.S. transportation said, nope. So they had to go with what they considered ugly side mirrors. So this is never going to come to fruition as it looks. Just like Elon has had problems with those same regulatory bodies in getting that Cybertruck that he showed us several years ago, it's changed in its appearance.
Yeah, and absolutely. And by the way, this thing will probably never see the light of day in the United States. This is designed specifically for the Chinese market, which helps them out. Honda has a very weird EV strategy anyway. Instead of building a handful of neat cars and shipping them across the U.S., across the globe, they want to sell just a Prologue SUV in the U.S., an E-hatchback in Europe and Japan, and then, of course, the EN series. And they mention it, terribly named E:*N series vehicles in China. So, lucky China. Yeah. Going to be licking. I wonder if they'll have a lick screen on the inside of this thing.
Oh, there you go. Now, would you consider, if you had access to buy one of these, would you consider? No chance.
I don't know.
Let me sweeten the pot a little bit. If it were available here in the United States next month, meaning you could get that. You're not going to get a Cybertruck next month. You're not going to get an F-150 Lightning next month. You're not even going to get a Rivian R1T next month because those are on back. I mean, they're filling the orders of the people that pre-ordered. But if you could get one of these next month, would you consider it and keep it for 2 years?
What would be the technology in it?
Well, it's going to be...
It'll have a lick screen TV.
Yeah, it'll have... Jay's already told you.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll have a lick screen TV. It'll have air tags. Or it comes equipped with air tags.
Basically everything we've talked about on the show today.
Yeah. I might consider it. It's this version of it. It's not super ugly. It doesn't have a bed,
it's
so I don't know.
It's a conversation piece, right?
It definitely is. Yeah. I'd drive it. Hey, they said the DeLorean wouldn't sell, but it did too, right?
There you go.
So there you go. So. Anyway, so good luck to you, Honda, on that. We wish you much good fortune with that idea there. Just saying. So, all right. Wow. Into our first podcast of the year 2022. Wow. Never thought I would say that. 2022. Strange, man. Does that sound weird to you at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just think, on 02/22/22, you have to wear a tutu. It's National Tutu Day.
Oh boy.
So for all of our fans and listeners out there, you have to wear a tutu on 02/22/22.
Should we record on that day? Make sure we're.
Won't we be at Disney?
Oh well, now the whole world knows. We might be, yeah.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Holy cow.
COVID permitting and all that. Yeah, I think we'll be
Exactly.
conveniently
Yes,
have
exactly.
other plans on that day, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Yeah. So, hey, thank you for joining us, Sideshot. Appreciate it. You're going to be back in class soon, we hope.
Oh yeah, we hope.
Yeah.
Yes, we do hope.
And well, I didn't mean that that
did.
way. I know. Hey, I get to send him home, man. Just saying. So there you go. But it was good to have you on today. Thanks always for your insight. You're encouraging young men and women around the globe to get into this automotive industry. And that is our goal as two partners in this world of podcasting and YouTubing and content creation. Our goal is to bring all of this stuff to everybody out there, and hopefully we do it sensibly, educated, with information, and get to do this the rest of our lives. So anyway, I don't have anything else to say other than thank you both for being here today. Thanks for being who you are.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say a couple things. You want to do some how to
You wanna plug us?
Yeah, you want to do the plugs? I'll give you 20 seconds while I buy you some time here. So Jay, Happy New Year. It's been a
Same
great.
to you guys.
It's been a great. It's been a great 2021. Really looking forward to 2022 with you. I don't think either of us probably thought we would be where we are today, even if you would have asked us 8 months ago. And thanks
Right.
to you guys out there for helping us make that possible. And if you have not already done so, so that Jay and I can keep doing what we love here, please, how can they support us?
You can if you're on YouTube, turn that subscribe button red to gray, like I always say. Hit the bell and make sure to like all of our videos. If you're on the podcast, come over to here
PartsCounterGuru.com.
on YouTube, and if you're on YouTube, go to PartsCounterGurus.com and check out the podcast. And the podcast is on most platforms.
Yeah, it's pretty much on all of them. There's a podcast tab at the top. Nice job. We are on Twitter at The Counter Show. We are on Instagram, The Parts Counter Gurus, Facebook.
That's right.
Facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus. So there you
That's
go.
it. That's it. And we may be on new platforms coming soon, so just stand
Been
by.
seriously
We're trying to
playing
reach.
around with some of the short stuff, and absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So help support us. Please feel free to leave a comment, suggestions on what you'd like to see from us. If you've got a direction you think we should go in, hey, we'll give it a try. We're always trying new stuff, right?
We are, yes. All right, so again, thanks everybody. I've got some, so we started this program talking about John Madden and the passing of both he and Betty White, and what a punch to the gut that was right at the end of 2021. And I just thought it fitting, Jay, because we've talked about Betty before, because she's such an interesting person, because the world was taken aback by her both in life and now in death, that I had a little story here. It won't take but a second. And I'm just going to read some comments that that Betty had made previously. Let's see. This was in 2012. She did an interview. I think it was with People magazine. And she talked about death. And, people talked to her even at that time. She was older. Was she afraid of death? And Betty said, my mother had a wonderful approach to death. She always thought of it as, we know we have managed to find out almost anything that exists, but nobody knows. What happens at the moment when it's over?
True.
So she said, it's the one secret. Now, this is Betty's mother that's telling her this. It's the one secret that we don't know. So whenever we would lose somebody very close and very dear, she would always say, well, now he knows the secret. And it sort of took the curse off of it somehow. So in that, I would say, Betty, now you know the secret. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for my pal Jay over there.
Thanks, guys.
And Side Shot over there. I'm Keith.
Thanks, Side Shot.
We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.